Together we have dialogued and taken actions that have helped us get over the worst. Fuel is now available at fuel stations. Rice is now available at the markets. And for those who had wished...
Let me stop him right there. Now this man says fuel is available. Rice is available. Let us make this very clear, guys. I don't think the problem has been availability. The problem has been the price. What is so hard for this guy to understand as a president of the nation? The availability is not the problem. It is the price. It is the price. I don't know how these guys write this speech, but this is the tone deafness we talk about. But again, this is not even what I really want to focus on, right? But this is just some of the lies that are being told. Or the tone deafness of this man. He knows nothing of what is actually happening in the country. Because if this man knows what is happening, he would understand that rice, the availability of rice or fuel is not so much the problem as the price. It came to power in 2018. A bag of rice was going for 180. Today, within 3 to 4 years, the price of rice is over 500,000 leones. That is what the fundamental problem is. So when he talks about cushioning the effect, what has he cushioned? The former government of President Koroma subsidized rice, subsidized fuel, subsidized education. And that is the fact. And these are the things I want to break to you guys so Sierra Leoneans and the international community would understand what is actually happening. These guys actually came and increased the price exponentially over the past 3 years on the people without any regard for the sufferings of the people. The minimum wage in Sierra Leone is less than 600,000 leones. But yet the bag of rice, the price for a bag of rice is 500,000 plus if you want a good rice. So 98% of somebody's salary goes towards rice alone. Where is the rent? Where is the healthcare? Where is the transportation? So let's leave that, right? But this shows you how careless this man is. He has no clue of what is actually happening. Let's continue to watch this.
A doomsday because of politics, and would rather disinform and misinform Sierra Leoneans. Doomsday is not here and will not come to Sierra Leone.
You know, listen to this man. It's talking about people like us, right? Those that are talking about, we are coming here, talking about the increments in prices and all of that stuff. He's saying people are praying for doomsday in Sierra Leone. But I want you guys to, I don't even want to do this today. I didn't want to, sway away from what I want to focus on. But if you guys something, Marabio's election promises, right? During the days of the election, what the things that he was saying. Let me show that. When this man was at the conference talking about the problems, the issues that Sierra Leoneans are suffering from, listen to him real quick. This was not him politicizing everything that was happening. Listen to this.
What is now abundantly clear is that the 10 years of APC misrule and economic mismanagement has definitely created considerable suffering for the people of this country. From Kamakwie to Pujehu, from Kono to Freetown, and everywhere, people are suffering under the weight of corruption and the mismanagement of the All People's Congress. I have seen it at first hand, from Falaba to Kedima and from Kailan to Potloko. The people want change. The people are tired of the suffering of paying for a bag of rice at 200,000 from only 60,000 into.
Thank you. Thank you. So you guys, I want you guys to see where we're coming from. This is the man who's talking about not politicizing anything right now. But these are the same guys who went there, talked something. I saw a brother of mine, Alpha Jaw, on Facebook, posted something about the fact that these guys trivialized the impact of Ebola during the days of the APC, but they want to use coronavirus, as the linchpin to say it has damaged the economy, and it's a lie. And again, like Cashbox has done his research. These governments has received over $650 million. I'm going to say it slowly again. Over $650 million. I wish Cashbox would have sent me the Excel spreadsheet so I can share with you guys. And this is a budget that they've actually allocated about $1 billion for this government. In 2 years, they've received over $650 million. Nothing like the former government of President Nkrumah received. But this is the man who's now crying foul for everything they did. You remember Francis Benkai Fala, but I don't want to sway from this message. Let me get back to what I want to talk about. Again, this is the BBC Viability Conference. I want to take on these issues right here. Listen to this.
We have gone through a lot as a nation, but we are a tough people. We are also a good people, I should say. We shall overcome the circumstances that we face today.
You know, overcoming the circumstances is not magic. This goes back to the thing where Africans, oh, by God's grace, by God's power, everything by God's grace, by God's power, not doing what they're supposed to do. But how can they even do what they're doing? This man, look at him. He joined the military, not even with a degree. And that's the thing I don't even understand about Sierra Leone's military, how people go and become officers without a first degree. They're becoming officers in the military. That's the problem right there. This man finished upper 6, went into the military. Wrong. That was the demise of our democracy in the first place. This man was giving that opportunity. After that, he promoted himself from captain to brigadier general. I mean, all of these things. These guys have always believed in the fakery. But look at what he's saying here. This is not by God's grace. You guys have to put in measures that should bring, that should lessen the burden and the pain of the people. Prudent economic, and rational concepts should be applied to be able to bring, the pain and suffering of the people down. But they have no clue. It's just telling us that everything is going to fall in place. Everything is going to be fine. Everything is going to be all right. Just keep suffering. Just like he said, the ground is dry right now, but, don't worry. I'm being purposeful with my nonsense. I don't want to go into the independence speech. So let's focus on this. Let's watch this together.
So when I speak today at this 2-day interactive dialogue conference among industry leaders in the media, the private sector, government, and international development partners, I do so mindful of where we have come from as a nation so far. I could quip that wherever 2 or more journalists are gathered, there's always the possibility of being misquoted. Some newspaper headlines have even misquoted my silence.
Listen to this man. This man has been silent with everything. As a president of a nation, with all the disasters, nobody has dared, members of parliament, to ask this man to give us his take on what is happening. The killings at Makeni, the killings at Paremba Road prisons, the killings at Tonkolimba, Tombo. As the president of a nation, if this man is responsible, it should be speaking to the nation. But we've not been able to build a democracy to get to that point where institutions would work. And these are the same people that are crying foul about institutions not working in Africa. Like former President Barack Obama said, what Africa needs is institutions to work. Without institutions, nothing is going to happen. And this man, President Bio, has not cultivated that sense of institutions to work. This man has been silent. Nobody can question him about his silence. And then when journalists are even questioning his silence, I want you guys to listen to him and pay attention to these guys. Is really complicating himself throughout this whole thing, but you're gonna listen, and I want you guys to learn from this. I really wanted to do this live today because I didn't want it to pass today. But listen to this.
As I'm always silent on a lot of issues, but even at the risk of being misquoted in tomorrow's headlines by some of our friends, I wish to speak from.
And the good thing is, he knows that he's been silent on a lot of issues, and these are the things we've taken up to the international community, right? And it's the same thing we've taken up with members of parliament. The silence of this president is condoning this violence. When you look at what happened to Sata Lamin, this lady in Kailahun, Sata Lamin was raped by 7 men. 7 men. Why? Because Sata Lamin was a supporter of the APC. They raped her, and when they were done with raping her, they inserted sand into her private part. That lady's womb had to be excised from within. This is what they did. He's silent about it. He knows about these things. Police brutality across the country. He knows about these things, but he's silent about it. His supporters going after Michael Mansari, arresting him, locking him up in jail, wouldn't say anything. Mohamed Kamaremba in jail, right? He's silent about all of these things. The man was given bail. The bail was revoked again because what? The First Lady called the Chief Justice to say, revoke back that bail. And yet they're talking about strong institutions, talking about supporting the media, talking about repealing the libel laws. I want you guys to understand this. I want the international community to pay attention to these things. I want the MCC to pay attention to these things. I'm taking my time here. This is free of charge. I'm not charging anybody anything. Nothing. To give you guys this education, to inform you about these things that are actually happening. And these are the realities. I don't have to make these things up. These things are right in front of our faces. Continue watching this.
Today, about the gains we have made as a nation in the last 4 years and why those gains matter for the future of this great nation of ours. The Independent Media Commission reports that we have over 500 registered media entities in this country, including newspapers, magazines, radio, television, and direct-to-home services. There is a budding entertainment and film industry with great talents and potential. We have one of the most liberalized, diversified, and decentralized media and communication sector in the sub-region and in Africa as a whole, I must say.
Can you guys hear that? I mean, I want to agree we have the most, liberalized, journalistic sector in all of West Africa. I want to believe so, right? But is that the reality on the ground? Is that what you guys see? When you have civil societies for today that were only supporting the SLPP, right? You take the Abdul Fatomas, right? That were in London protesting against former President Nkrumah, calling former President Nkrumah a thief. Unless he's a thief, unless he's a thief. These guys were singing this stuff. Right? These guys were singing this stuff. Let me see if I can find that video. These civil societies today, they are quiet. The same civil society organizations in London, Abdul Fatoma of Chadi. What these guys are doing is they are finding softball cases, like going into the military. After Comrade Koita has been reporting so much about the military, right? Now he goes into the military thing. Oh, there's so much, sexual harassment in the military. Military lacks healthcare, all that stuff. But watch these guys protesting in London. These are SLPP people. Watch them. This is the guy that contested for the elections recently. You guys would know his name. This is Abdul Fatoma. That's Abdul Fatoma. Abdul Fatoma, who is the Chadi director, the NGO in Sierra Leone, CHRDI. But this is Abdul Fatoma. Right? And these are the same guys today that they've seen President Bio. It took $1 million to Lebanon. That's the biggest thieving you can ever think about. This man has exclusive rights to the exploitation of timber in Sierra Leone. We saw from the Auditor General report that there was a missing $5 billion based off of the calculation that they gave us. But after the fact, they went back and said, oh no, there was a mistake made in the calculation. So now it came to $250 million on timber export alone. This man has all that money. No civil society has questioned it. But listen to this man. I want you guys to listen to this and learn. Let us all listen.
I made a manifesto commitment to this nation in 2018 to repeal the criminal libel law. The law had criminalized speech, suppressed journalism, wrecked many lives, stunted democratic governance, and stifled the promotion.
Guys, for the international community, you see, there's always the why behind everything. And for, Miss Lisa Chesney, UK and Sierra Leone, Ambassador David Reimer, the American Embassy staff, European Union, Mr. Mula, and everybody else, what I want you guys to understand is give you guys an historical perspective into how we got to where we're at today. This level of brutality that we've seen, the militarization of a governance structure that we've seen by this President Bio, this started way back in 1964. So let's get back to the criminal libel law, because I want people to ask these questions. How did we have the criminal libel law? Who was the initiator? Who was the catalyst behind the criminal libel law? That is the question, and that is why I want to do this live today, to answer that question. Albert Magai is the brain behind the criminal libel law. You'd ask yourselves, Who is Albert Magai? Albert Magai was the very first, well, the second prime minister of Sierra Leone after he self-imposed himself. I want to give you guys this historical perspective now. After he self-imposed himself and when Milton Magai died, because Khalifa Smart, Dr. John Khalifa Smart was supposed to become the prime minister at the time. But Albert Magai self-imposed himself as the prime minister. So between 1964 and 1967, that's when this man tribalized every institution in Sierra Leone, brought nepotism, took all his brothers, just like what President Bio is doing. Matter of fact, the playbook is from 1964. That is what you guys are seeing right now in Sierra Leone. Every state institution, when you look at all the parastatals today, every ministry, look at all the ministers, 95% of them are from the Mende tribe, Southeasterners to be specific. That is what I want the international community to pay attention to. And that was how our democracy was degraded beginning back in 1964. And these guys came back to power in the 24th century and are doing the same thing. So when he talks about the criminal libel law was very repulsive and all of that stuff, who brought it in? It was the SLPP, Albert Magai, the prime minister of the SLPP at the time. He was the one who initiated this because, again, it wanted to capture everything and wanted to become a one-party state system. That was what it was pushing for. Unfortunately, he lost the elections in 1967. But again, I just want to give you guys that historical perspective. I'm going to let this video play for a little bit more and I'll come back in and inject the facts because this is why I wanted to do this live. For you guys to understand the historical perspective. Because sometimes when these guys come on these podiums and just start speaking, you know, we don't know what is behind the why. And we have to ask these critical questions in Sierra Leone, the why behind everything. And that is what is crucial and that is what is important. But listen to this. I want you guys to listen to this.
Services. There is a body in the entertainment and film industry with great talents and potential. We have one of the most about governance. During the Truth and Reconciliation Commission hearing this nation in 2018 to reach great talents and potential.
Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get it right.
We have one of the most liberalized. I made a manifesto commitment
right there
to this nation in 2018.
I want you guys to listen.
Repeal the criminal libel law. The law had criminalized speech, suppressed journalism, wrecked many lives, stunted democratic governance, and stifled the promotion and protection of the guaranteed rights of citizens to speak freely about governance. During the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, we have over 500 registered media entities in the media and communication sector in the sub-region and in Africa as a whole, I must say. I made a manifesto commitment to this nation in 2018 to repeal the criminal libel law. The law had criminalized speech, suppressed journalism, wrecked many lives, stunted democratic governance, and stifled the promotion and protection of the guaranteed rights of citizens to speak freely about governance. During the Truth and Reconciliation Commission hearing back in 20 years ago, we recognized as a nation the cost of repressive autocracy that has shrunken off or closed free speech in this country. The painful and violent civil war years taught us that citizens must be able to speak freely and openly about governance.
Thank you.
We all know the cost of those painful years. So my commitment to remove that obnoxious law was not just about doing something, it was about doing what our democracy requires to thrive. For the first time in the history of our great nation, no journalist is imprisoned for the practice of journalism. No journalist is in fear of death or imprisonment for the practice of journalism in Sierra Leone today. We have increased the right to access information, access to redress and due process, and access to justice. For the first time in the history of this nation, also, my government has actively worked with the Sierra Leone Association of Journalists to enhance professionalism among media practitioners, promote gender.
Guys, let's go back. Let's backtrack a little bit. Let's backtrack a little bit here. Let's backtrack a little bit.
Journalism. No journalist is in fear of death or imprisonment.
No journalist is in fear of death or imprisonment. You guys remember the case of Saliu Jallo? Saliu Jallo was this journalist that reported the Africanist, that reported the chief minister at the time, David Francis. David Francis, the chief minister who was stealing the most. This guy is the guy that came with the, the report, the GTTC report, the government transition report, where people's names and tribes were mentioned. This is the same man that has a PhD in peace and conflict management. But let's leave that. This president, this is what they do to the international community. When they have these opportunities, they come and lie and talk about, they've not done this, they're not doing this. Every journalist is free. Sierra Leoneans, you guys know that is not the truth, and that is not factual. That is a big lie, and that is very deceptive, and that is not right. So, organizations like the MCC and all of that, you need to know these facts. Again, I mentioned the case of Michael Mansari. Michael Mansari in Bo. This is a citizen who was arrested. Why? Because Michael Mansari dared. Let me show you guys. Look at Michael Mansari running for his life from Bo because he spoke up. This president was quiet the whole time. Watch this. Watch this.
As I talk to you, so my brother, under a head place, are they really so far, my brother? It's not easy with me. Are they really so far? Down to my family and the library at risk. But that one get video I don't make. Say now I don't get peace of mind, sir. When I not let them die. Let me family don't lost me. Do you have the big? It's not easy with me. It's not easy with me presently. Do you want to help me? Do you have the big? When I really help me, do you have the big? When I help me and family, would they really suffer? Do you have the big? When I come to me here, when I come to me rescue, do you have the big? It's not easy with me presently. Do you have the big? I don't beg when I'm going to do you want to help me for God?
So guys, that is a citizen. All he did was exercise his rights to free speech. Section 25, subsection 1. No citizen shall be hindered in the enjoyments of their freedom of speech. Michael Mansari, unfortunately, I don't know what happened to that video. Michael Mansari just stood in front of that stadium and said, President Nkrumah built the stadium. Thugs and vigilantes of the SLPP actually went to Michael Mansari's house. He was taking a shower and he was arrested. Vigilante style. Vigilante style. But yet this president acted like he didn't know what was going on. He knew what was going on because that is what he has said to his lackeys. Remember, this president in London talked about the fact that, in politics, he's going to remain calm. But his supporters should not be calm. Remember that speech from London? So these are all the things. So this man has been fanning the flames and embers of division and hate in our country. And no citizens' rights were protected. No citizens' rights have been protected. There was another guy in Kenema. All he did was, went across the streets of Kenema. Let me show you the guy that I'm talking about. And he was arrested. Up till now, we don't know where he's at. For speaking up.
Because you're not in America. Mrs. Fatima Bio, they don't come missing. And me want to talk before them. And not only one people that begin to suffer from that thing, they don't get idea of it. Do ya? Una send on social media, una video me na mother Saliakane. President, they know me, it's having me very well. They say why you don't commit, I want to talk. If they arrest me, what they tell them no more, let them make a appeal. If I talk, me not allow no leader again for foreign with alone. Man, they will let you pass now. They will let you. But if you do what you want, me not going allow you, man, they will let you do something where we are the whole situation, where we are the whole alone.
See, this is the heart of...
Guys, this is this guy right here. Up till now, we don't know where he's at. So when you listen to the president talking about protecting the free speech and the rights of citizens in Sierra Leone, talking about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, talking about the rebel war, which of course he was very instrumental in the rebel war as well. These guys came to power, NPRC, they should have, finished the war, could not finish the war. What did he do in 1996 when he had power for 3 months? He stole over hundreds of millions of dollars. At least we know that, Dr. Sumara Kamara talked about the $18 million that he knew about, that he stole from the sale of Kilmanite. So these are all the things we're talking about. But this guy has not protected any citizen's rights in Sierra Leone, and no journalist is free. Can anybody go right now? Any journalist has been able to report on the thievery of this government. When you look at what is actually happening with, the African Express, of course, is a treasure trove, of data, of the thieving and the stealing from this government. Has any journalist, any news media organization ever ventured to question these guys? No. Nobody has the guts or the audacity to actually question this president. And that is what we're dealing with. Because I want you guys to see stuff like this. When you look at the report in June of 2020, June of 2021, actually. Let me do June of 2021. I want you guys to see this. You look at this guy. No journalist can take up these cases to go after this guy, this president and his wife, for all the money that has been stolen. I want you guys to see this. I want you guys to take a look at my screen right here. The African Express. Look at this. I dare any journalist. Take a look at this. The president and first lady withdrew over 30 billion on travel expenditures in 2020. I dare any journalist in Sierra Leone to challenge this. Nobody has ever heard from this president on these issues. But of course, the day is going to come when we are going to be able to investigate these things. But no journalist organization, 98.1 AYV, they don't dare to actually call this president and say, Mr. President, come talk to us. Nobody dares to do it in that country because they'll be arrested. We've seen countless journalists getting arrested.